Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, Ilum Reads. My name is Will. Today I wanted to talk to you about a few of my worst reads of 2024. The first book I want to talk to you guys about is a relatively popular novel. Okay, so first, I just want to take the moment and say that at times I really do hate doing these type of videos because it's not that I am trying to dog or drag the author or their work through the mud. These type of videos are just saying that these books did not work for me. And you know what? That's okay, because that is how we continue to articulate and figure out our own tastes, likes, when it comes to the type of books that we read. So with that said, the first book that I want to talk about is Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams. Okay, so to my defense, and what I put in my review on Goodreads of Ladarian's debut novel, I believe that this is his debut novel. First, let me just tell you what I liked about Blood at the Root. Let's start there. I absolutely love the Black culture and how it is articulated, how it is put in the spotlight within Blood at the Root. I loved a lot of what Malik goes through in his humanity is a lot of what Black and people of color experience in the real world. I loved that Ladarian decided to put those type of real world issues and problems in Blood at the Root. What I did not like about this debut novel is the oversaturation of the use of AAVE. If you don't know what that means African American Vernacular English. I do not mind that Ladarian used AAVE to get the character of Ladarian as well as the other Black and persons of color characters to be lifted up off of the page. What I did not like is that it was oversaturated and it made the story hard to follow because there was no middle ground in the way that these characters, especially Malik, would speak and articulate themselves. There were so many pop culture references within this story that it took away from the overall gist, the overall plot, the overall subplots, and just everything that it felt like Ladarian was trying to underline when it came to the Black and the human experience. Blood at the Root is told through first person, Malik's point of view. And again, Malik, he is one of the characters that uses AAVE 24/7, 365 to get his point and his emotions and his thoughts across. I feel like if Ladarian had written Malik's story through third person, where as the reader, we're also reading the narration and we can kind of step out of Malik's head for just those few couple of moments, it would have been such a lighter novel. Personally speaking, I feel like I probably could have stayed more in the story if it were written that way. But I digress. The overall story, it was interesting. It was told as like a Black Harry Potter type situation. Malik, he finds himself obviously in trouble at the very beginning of the novel. He comes to find that he has these supernatural magical abilities that he's still kind of coming to know about. He is considered an orphan. He does not know either of his parents. Later on in the story, he does come to find that he has a living grandmother who also is versed within the magical realm. His grandmother gets him signed up to go to Cayman University, which is like this magical college. I can't really remember exactly where the setting is for Cayman, but he begins to come to know himself and his background of who he is, who his mother is, and the secrets that she held, and how that ties to his own life. But overall, I gave Blood at the Root 2 stars. It just wasn't something that I could wholly immerse myself in. The next book I'm going to talk about is Him by Serena Bowman and Elle Kennedy. This was my first adult novel by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. It tells the story of two hockey players who meet up at a camp to kind of train like these fresh players at a summer camp. Jamie and Ryan are meeting for the very first time after a plethora of years. The last time that they met, they did not leave things off in like the best of terms. Later on during the present moment of the book, it mentions how both characters are finally able to meet up as both of their hockey teams are set to face one another during the upcoming championship. Ryan is set to apologize to Jamie. However, there were still some underlying feelings that were kind of left off there. This was another hard novel to get through. One, again, because of the prose. I can't remember if it was Jamie or Ryan, but even though that this is an adult novel, and I kind of knew that going in, what I didn't like was every word out of either Jamie or Ryan's mouth was the F-bomb. It left me wondering who talks like that in real life. It was just one of those things that kept drawing me out of the book, because every time Jamie, I really think that it was Ryan, went to go say something, every other word, it was, I'm going to F this. I went to the effing bathroom. Give me some of that effing pie. What? And a lot of the time, like, neither character kind of felt like real people. It was just their characterization. It honestly just felt really all over the place. I didn't even bother to rate it. I DNF'd it. I left off on page 123. I'm not sure just yet if I'm gonna go back to it. I did buy both of the books in the Him series. I would eventually like to finish the series. I just have to see how I feel, and I know that I'm gonna have to be in the mood to do that. So the next book is kind of another popular book. I feel like there's going to be a massive uproar with this one. This Is How You Lose the Time War. Yeah, I've heard such tremendous things about this book, this story. I hybrid read it where I was both listening to it on audiobook and following along physically, but I was just so lost. It is a sci-fi romance between the two characters, Red and Blue, and each one are leaving these letters of animosity to one another in different timelines. But as their story continued to progress, they begin to fall in love. And the premise of that is so enthralling. The idea of that is very fascinating. But I think it was just the jumping back and forth, sometimes not necessarily knowing where each character was, kind of threw me off. It left me confused. I really don't know. And also, it took quite a long time for the story to actually get to like the thick of the plot. I had no idea what was the purpose of like this novel. I want to say for like the first 100 or so pages. I I think that if I were to like reread it, now that I have just a little bit more understanding of it, I'll probably enjoy it more. But during like my first read, it was just really hard to kind of digest. Again, because I just wasn't necessarily attached to the characters. It took such a very long time to get to know each one. And did it ever describe like why they did not like each other in the very beginning?
You're canceled.
And the last book I'm going to talk about Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. If you are familiar with my channel, you know that I love Cassandra Clare. She is one of my top favorite authors of all time. The Shadowhunter universe is one of my absolute favorite series, but Cassandra Clare is losing me. This is Cassandra Clare's first adult fantasy novel. It is a part of a series. I believe that the next installment, the Ragpicker King, is coming out in March of this year. I DNF'd this for the time being. I think that the majority comes from the fact that I probably just wasn't in the mood to read a high fantasy adult series, but also Cassandra Clare has this knack where she takes such a very long time to get to the thick of things. Cassandra Clare, she is very much a character-oriented author. She lets her characters drive her story. With that being said, she typically takes the first 200 to 300 pages to actually get to the story. There was a lot of world building within this first installment, which when it comes to like the world building, it's fine. These type of novels, especially high fantasy, that's what they need. But there were certain parts where, like, let's say Cassandra Clare was describing the type of tapestry and texture and art upon one castle wall. I didn't understand, and I didn't think that that particular piece would be very important to the story. I do know that I am definitely going to give this another chance. I don't think that I gave myself a chance to actually get attached to the main characters. The sword catcher is supposed to tell this tale of Kel, who is an orphan, and how he is taken from the life that he knows in order to become the sword catcher, which is the body double to the royal heir of Castelline. Kel is forced to leave the life that he knows in order to be molded into the royal prince. He is trained in combat. He is trained in pretty much every single way that the prince is, in order to take his place should something horrendous happen. The premise of this sounded so good. I just kind of wish that Cassandra Clare could go back to her early writing days where she didn't spend as long setting up her world and her characters. And that is it for my worst books of 2024. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and being here and listen to me ramble and rant about a few books. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not already. Also, chat with me down in the comments. I love hearing from you. I love hearing your thoughts. Were any of these books that were on my list on your list or previous lists? Let me know. If you would like to see more bookish content from me, please ring that bell to know when I do post a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.